Welcome to NASCAR Coast to Coast here on the Motor Racing Network, presented by Whelen Engineering and also brought to you by Hercules Tire. I'm Hannah Newhouse, back in the Concord, North Carolina studio here at the Motor Racing Network, and joined, as always, by my co-host of Kyle, Rickey. And Kyle, it was a busy weekend for our regional touring, specifically that up in the Northeast. The Modifieds finally made their return back to New Hampshire Motor Speedway, which was absolutely packed, as we always expect when the Modifieds roll into that area. I saw videos and pictures from the infield all weekend long, crazy per usual. But I heard from friends there, the crowd actually overtook the sound of the Modifieds on that crazy last lap pass.
First off, it was an amazing race. Great field of Modifieds. It's always one of the better races at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. The drivers will tell you that. NASCAR officials will tell you that. And for the first time in a number of years, they didn't put the traction compound down because they knew that it messed the Modifieds up with their bigger tires. And so it was a great race. But yeah, 3 wide coming off of turn 4. Ryan Preece made this unbelievable move outside, inside on Justin Bonsignor and Ron Silk, and went from 3rd to 1st in the final corner and pulled off the win. 6th different winner of the year, his first at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, which is hard to believe. He's run there 2-3 times a year for a long time. So, over a decade. So hard to believe that was his first win. Great race. I think the top 9 finished within a second of each other. So, it doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah, definitely crazy to see. And if you haven't seen that last lap pass, it's all over social media. I believe NASCAR Roots has posted it up on theirs, as has NASCAR on NBC. Wild finish, but that's what we've just come to expect here with the Modifieds. They've actually got this up and coming weekend off, but they'll be back in action next week at New York International Raceway for the New Way Auto Parts 150. And as of right now, Justin Bonsignor, the current points leader, over Patrick Emmerling. Only 10 points separate those two. Kyle Bonsignor sits 3rd, Woody Pitkat 4th, and John McKennedy in 5th. So a big point shakeup really after this past weekend, but time for some more moving and shaking as we still have quite a few races left to go in the Modifieds. Also this weekend, though, the ARCA Menard Series was at Berlin Raceway, something that they've been looking forward to returning to for the Zinser Smart Coat 200. Yep. And it feels like every time we get on here and talk about ARCA, we usually talk about Corey Heim or Ty Gibbs getting yet another win, but we have a new winner, a first-time winner in the ARCA Menard Series.
Yeah, just his second career ARCA Menard Series start, Daniel Dye able to pick up the win, led 198 of the 200 laps. It was close, though, at the end. Ty Gibbs was closing in. He was back about 2 seconds with 5 to go, and at the white flag, about within a car length. So he made a race out of it. Corey Heim finished in 3rd. Taylor Gray 4th, Jesse Love rounded out the top 5. The championship standings right now after 10 races, so halfway through the ARCA season. Corey Heim up by 6 over Ty Gibbs. Thad Moffitt 74 points back in 3rd. Then Nick Sanchez a distant 4th, 92 out, with a race coming up this weekend at the Shore Lunch 150 at the Iowa Speedway, a combination event with the ARCA Menards East Series. So getting down to crunch time for the East, but still a long season to go for the ARCA Menards National Series. But for the most part, it's between 2 drivers, Corey Heim and Ty Gibbs.
Yeah, it was refreshing to see a new name visit victory lane. Of course, Daniel Dye started his season with Ben Kennedy Racing, made the announcement just a few weeks ago, what feels like his alignment with GMS, and of course, that whole driver development program. We're going to take a quick break. We're actually going to dial Daniel Dye up. Ooh, try and say that 5 times fast. Dial Daniel Dye up on our guest line and chat with him about this past weekend's win at Berlin.
Whelen Engineering, a global leader in the emergency warning industry, designs and manufactures reliable and powerful warning lights. Whelen also produces white illumination lighting, sirens, controllers, and high-powered warning systems for automotive, aviation, and mass notification industries worldwide. Every part of every Whelen product is proudly designed and manufactured in America and is tested on-site to meet the toughest industry certifications. Whelen Engineering, a global leader in the emergency warning industry, trusted to perform since 1952.
Citywide to countryside, whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules has the value, selection, and industry-leading warranty to get you there no matter where the road takes you. Go to HerculesTires.com. There you can find the nearest authorized Hercules retail location to you. Plus, you can use the tire tracker to find out which Hercules tire fits your vehicle the best. That's HerculesTires.com. Hercules Tires. Ride on our strength.
Welcome back to NASCAR Coast to Coast here on the Motor Racing Network. We talked about the ARCA race at Berlin Speedway over the past weekend. A new winner found his way into victory lane, and he joins us here on the guest line. First off, Daniel, thanks for taking some time and congratulations on your win.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Seemed like an exciting race, but one that you pretty much dominated. Led about 198 of 200 laps. You only have a handful of ARCA starts. When you walked into Saturday's race, was a win really on your guys' checkbook?
I think obviously it always is when you show up to a racetrack, that's what you want to do. But, it was only my third race with GMS. And I was told earlier in the week, my crew chief, Chad Bryant's never finished worse than second there. And I was like, well, crap, I'm going to be the person that ends that streak or whatever. This ain't going to be good. And, we were second in practice, which was really good. And there's a good buffer to all the other cars. And then, we got the pole, and I think we led every green flag lap. I was watching back on the race, and I think Ty just beat me to the line when we were doubling up for the restarts, and I looked it up. So I think, it's whatever. I wish I could have said every lap, but it was just smooth sailing all day. So, other than when Ty got into me there a little bit on that one restart, but other than that, it was just smooth sailing. Chad kept me calmed down, and we didn't change the car at all. Like, from green to checkered, there was not a thing different other than different set of tires on it. So, it was just a really good day.
You mentioned Ty, of course, Ty Gibbs, who very few have been able to beat this year in the ARCA Menard Series. He was closing, though, like a fast-moving freight there those last couple of laps. Were you aware of the ground that he was making up on you in the last 5 or so laps?
No, I wasn't. And honestly, I was saving there at the end just in case we had a late race restart. The lap cars, I got through some that were racing, and a couple times they got into each other, and I was just wanted to have a little bit there at the end. And I didn't know it was a white flag because I was next to somebody and my spotter said inside and not white flag. So I crossed the line and he said checkered. I was like, when was a white? So I didn't know we were quite done yet. If I knew Ty was coming, I would have, try to get after a little bit more, and I still had a good bit left in it. But I was just trying to save a little bit there. But I watched the race back on Sunday when I got home, and I was like, whoa, well that could have went downhill really quick. He almost got to me, and just like Corey did last week, he could have got into me and stole the win, because we'd all do the same. We'd all do what it takes to get a win in the ARCA Menard Series. So. He was coming. I didn't know it. I wish I would have, though.
Well, it ended up panning out, of course, in your favor there. You'd mentioned, of course, crew chief Chad Bryant said that they've got pretty good finishes there. But what was your experience at Berlin prior to the race this weekend?
Just about zero. I went on Wednesday and with Terry Seneker, who is, has a lot of success at Berlin and up north, and got a couple laps in a late model just to kind of see the track at speed. We hopped in his truck and rode around the racetrack, and he just kind of told me some stuff to do. Other than that, what I really tried to do is I watched Money in the Bank race from last year that Boris Jurkovic won, and almost every lap he was throwing up dust in turn 4. And I think that's a place where I was like killing people, was like being maybe like 3 feet lower than everybody else, and that's just that much more time I can be in the gas. And really I got turn 1 figured out too. Mr. Bursley came on Wednesday, and Bursley's had success at Berlin too, and on Saturday as well, but just kind of figuring out how to roll through turn 1 and kind of come up. I had a lot of help figuring out the line, and I think it's such a weird racetrack. And if you can be consistent at a place like that, I think like what we did Saturday, was the difference.
Great race on Saturday at the Berlin Speedway, and it looked like a great crowd as well. So kudos to our own Jeff Striegel, the general manager of the racetrack, for putting on a great event. You mentioned earlier, this is your third event at GMS Racing. How has that transition been for you as you joined one of the bigger teams that we have in NASCAR/ARCA right now?
Yeah, it didn't start out fantastic. think my first race I finished 6th, and then at Elko we finished 7th. We had okay runs there early. Just couldn't put a whole race together. But we get on the phone, we talk it out, we try and figure out what we can do better, and that's what we did this week. And I think we just all came more prepared, and it paid off. So to get the chemistry rolling good, and getting a win in only our 3rd race is it's a pretty good start, I'd say.
And do you feel like that maybe eases some of the pressure? Of course, we've seen the success that Sam Mayer had with the GMS. You started the year off with Ben Kennedy Racing. Was there any added pressure when you joined GMS, and do you feel like this one alleviated some of that?
Yes and no. I mean, Sam obviously took everybody to school for like the last 2 years, and it win those cars. He had Marty though, and Marty left, but Chad Bryant's won a lot of races too. With there not being a whole lot of success with Jack in the car this year, with him struggling in that car and just them struggling overall, it kind of took some of that away. He had a couple good runs, just never could find himself in victory lane. So obviously there's a lot of pressure. Everybody, that doesn't understand racing like deep, everybody's like, oh, it's a 21 car. They won every race the last 2 years. They should not lose. There's that. And then I don't know. There's definitely some pressure. But for me, that was only my 9th or 10th ARCA race ever. So I'm just trying to learn as much as I can, and to do that while I'm learning was pretty big. So that, I think it helps take some of it off now that we got the win out of the way. But it also brings maybe a little bit more pressure now that people know we can do it. We got to do it again.
That 9 and 10 number also includes the ARCA Menard Series East, which you are currently 5th in the championship standings. We'll talk more about that in a moment. But 2 starts in the ARCA Menard Series with GMS Racing. What brought you to that race team?
With Jack moving to the 24 truck for the rest of the year, with how the deal ended up going with with Rafael Lessard, it just gave us the chance to hop in the seat. Cavitron Media, who represents me, has had a relationship with GMS for a while, and Mr. Beam. And so Mr. Beam asked if we wanted to try and make a deal happen. And with the driver's edge development deal and the Chevy backing and stuff, it seemed like a good idea for the rest of my career. And Ben Kennedy and Ben Odom made it a really good switch. Like, they helped get out of the 43 car to come to the 21 car, and they understood that it was a better situation for me. And since I was struggling over at Ben Kennedy Racing this year, with just little mistakes that took us out of contention, it was time to kind of move on. We're starting to do late model stuff over there, but they helped bring us to the 21 car with Jack, and Jack's still going to run that car a little bit this year. And I got 5 more races, but with the seat being open, we took it.
And I have to ask you about that driver's edge development program. We've talked to a lot of drivers over the last 2-3 years, really, that have been part of the program, moved up to the program. What has that done for you both on and off the racetrack?
Yeah. So they're a big help in, kind of helping stuff like this, like being able to talk to people, and as well as physical training. We had I don't know what you'd call it. It was almost like a class. I almost had like a racing class a couple weeks ago, where they brought in some people and kind of talked to us to help us maximize really every aspect of our career: social media, on the racetrack, off the racetrack, just interaction with people. So, I think it's a really good deal for kids like me trying to make it to the Cup Series one day. They're setting up the future for all of us, just like Sam Mayer. I mean, he started in the junior late model stuff, and now he's in the Xfinity car for Dale Jr. So, I'm sure he'll find victory lane this year, and he started out in the driver's edge development program. So they got a great program going on with GMS and Junior Motorsports. So really proud to be a part of that.
Not a lot of rest for you. The ARCA Menard Series East back on track this weekend at the Iowa Speedway. 5th in points, 43 out, 3 races to go. You have Iowa, Milwaukee, and Bristol. Where do you think you can make some ground up and maybe contend for a spot further up in the championship standings over these next 3 events?
Yeah, I think we can get up, a couple more spots. I think Sammy's kind of ran away with it to this point. I mean, with only 8 races,
Yep.
having one bad race this year really takes you out of contention. So, yeah, I mean, I think we're kind of out of the championship. We're not going to give up, though. We're going to do everything we can to win the next 3 races to do what we can. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think the 30 car still might be ahead of us with his win at New Smyrna, which with how that goes, I think we can hop in front of him. And with this new equipment and going to these bigger racetracks, I think GMS is going to be more equipped to get some better finishes against the 4 other cars that are in front of us in points. So just got to stay consistent, keep doing what we did on Saturday.
And you've definitely aligned yourself, like you said, with a powerhouse team. Well, Daniel, again, congratulations on your win this past weekend. We're looking forward to watching you at Iowa this upcoming weekend, one of, I know, both Kyle and I's favorite racetracks to watch, and we continue to look forward to watching the rest of the season.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys.
Again, guys, Daniel Dye, the winner this past weekend at Berlin, and you can catch him in action this up-and-coming weekend at Iowa Speedway. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, you've got your Whelen Engineering Modified Driver Spotlight.
Whelen Engineering, a global leader in the emergency warning industry, designs and manufactures reliable and powerful warning lights. Whelen also produces white illumination lighting, sirens, controllers, and high-powered warning systems for automotive, aviation, and mass notification industries worldwide. Every part of every Whelen product is proudly designed and manufactured in America and is tested on-site to meet the toughest industry certifications. Whelen Engineering, a global leader in the emergency warning industry, trusted to perform since 1952.
Sir, are you aware you were going 40 miles an hour? This is a residential area.
Sure, but I'm on my lawnmower? Wait, am I getting a ticket?
No, I've just never seen anyone top 9 miles an hour on one of those bad boys. And mow their entire lawn in 30 seconds? What got into you?
Well, I did fuel up at Sunoco this morning.
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. We've been doing it for American racing for over 50 years. Fuel your best.
Time now for this week's Whelen Engineering Modified Driver of the Week. I am here at the Stafford Motor Speedway on a Monday evening, the home track of the driver we're about to talk to. In fact, he got his first modified win here just a couple of nights ago in George Bessette Jr. And George, first off, congratulations on that win.
Thank you, Kyle. That was a big milestone for me. So I'm still excited. It's Monday and it feels like it's still Friday night for me,
A big milestone, and you said George Bessette Jr., your family, long been a part of Connecticut motorsports at all the short tracks up here in New England. What makes this so special? Because I understand it's the first open wheel win in your family, I believe, right?
Yeah, this is the first open wheel, win for our family. My dad, raced street stocks or they were late models back then, and pro stocks at Thompson for a long time. And, he raced modifieds 2002 to 2004 in that area, and then went back to late models at Thompson. But during that duration of time, he never won a modified race. I mean, he came close a bunch of times, and I mean, he was a part of the invitational race they had at Stafford, when I was 1 year old or 2 years old, and my dad was racing with Teddy Christopher and all them guys, and he led most of that race, but blistered all his tires up that night and lost it by, 20 laps or so.
Let's before we talk more about the win, let's talk about how you got started. Behind me, folks may notice a full field of go-karts. The Junior Outlaws are out here right now racing, part of their Monday night program. You were a part of it. What was it like for you as a young kid coming out here to Stafford Motor Speedway, running in these karts every Monday night?
I mean, when I first started, I was a part of, racing my whole life. My dad took me all the time, as much as he could have, because he raced on Thursday nights at Thursday Night Thunder at Thompson. So it was a little harder for me to go because of school, and I was so young. So I had to be in school and everything and learn my ABCs just like we all had to. So I couldn't really go, but, it was special because, some Friday mornings before school, I'd wake up with a trophy on my bed. So it was pretty cool. But as I got older, I started to go more, and I went to the Icebreaker and, the Spring Sizzler and all the big races and all that stuff. So, I go as far back. And then when I was 9 or 10, I got a phone call from my dad, I came home from school and he was at the Sizzler, and I didn't want to go that week. I don't know why, but I didn't go for some apparent reason. And he said, "Would you like to race?" And I go, "I'd like to try. I mean, I've always been in it." So I knew, but previously I was, doing the on track stuff and, just, having fun. I mean, I wasn't very good, but I was staying consistent, being patient, having a good time. So my dad gave me a shot, and we went Monday night go-kart racing in the Tiger B division.
You mentioned the on-track stuff, on-track karting, an indoor karting facility up here in Connecticut, where I think Ryan Preece also has got a lot of laps around that place as well. From the go-karts, what was the jump like for you? Was it right into what is the street stock division here at Stafford?
Yeah, we went Tiger B's, Tiger A's, which is the next step up from Tiger B's, a little different. And then Junior Outlaw is completely different cage, different kind of motor deal. And so we skipped Senior Outlaw and went straight into their stock division at the time, which is a full-size car that they race every Friday night at Stafford. And I was 14 years old at the time.
So what's that transition like, going from this short little track behind me, which is pretty much carved into the front stretch, to the full half mile here at Stafford?
It was pretty crazy, going there my first, open practice before the Sizzler on, 2017. You want to take that quick left-hand turn onto the flat part of the track, but you're going a little farther into the banks. So, it was pretty cool, racing that track. And, when I was younger, racing the smaller go-karts, you look down the front stretch and you see that big corner and you're like, man, one day I really hope to be there. And fortunately, that was me and that car going into turn one, and I had the biggest grin on my face. And it took me a while to get adjusted. The cars had suspension. It's a heavier car. You got small tire. You have fenders and all that stuff. So it's a completely different beast than a full size car. So, I mean, it was a good transition, but I felt like it actually helped me as a driver to go to the dare stock division, or street stock division as it's known now, and in order to learn car control and all that good stuff. So in order to become a driver I am today.
A division where you won a championship, and then when you made the next move, it was to a modified. Was that always the plan? Because your dad spent much of his career in full fender cars, late models, and pro stocks.
Yeah, I can remember as far back as, when I was 8 years old, always watching the modified tour races at Thompson. I mean, I always loved the modified division. I mean, that was something I've always wanted to do. I've liked the tires. I like just the whole aspect behind a modified. It's just this weird looking car, all offset, tires sticking out. I mean, it was just something you don't see around the country. So, I mean, it's something I always wanted to do. I mean, I knew my dad raced them, but I don't remember growing up with the car in the garage like that. I mean, my sister has more of a background about it. She's older than me, so she remembers them more than I do. But, I've always had that interest in the modified. So when I was in street stocks, I won 10 races and a championship. Fortunately, we had a really good car. We got from Ed Pulio, which had plenty of wins and championships behind it. So we made the move up to the SK Lake division. I got in that car.
And you've been so close so many times until this past Friday. What did it mean to pull in the victory lane for the first time in an SK Light modified?
Yeah, we've had, tons of runner-up spot positions. I mean, people would have begged to, fortunately to be where we are right now. So, I mean, yeah, second screen, take it what you got, but just that one spot short every single time. It felt like, at Thompson, I've been there, but I've never raced Thompson in my life, and almost winning the race but missing it by a little bit. I mean, if anything, that was a good kick to get going and have actually be more motivated to win than ever.
And for it to come off of two back-to-back not so good finishes, I think 21st in the two races prior to the win. So that must have been a huge boost. Not obviously you want to get the victory lane, but just to turn that confidence around.
Yeah, it was definitely, it felt like forever. I mean, we only had raced 14 times in 2020 due to COVID. I mean, there was restrictions and everything, but, fortunately we got to run some Saturday shows, which was really nice to, for say, get back on track. More seat time, the better. But, coming into 2021, we had a good car. We spent tons of time, making everything perfect, from body to, suspension to just little things that people overlook all the time. So we knew we had a good car, and we had to catch a break. We were so close so many times, but I never let that put me down. We had 2 bad weeks in a row, but we had that 2 weeks off because of the rain. So
Yep.
I had over a month just to get that, excitement built up, just to go there that last Friday and take the crown.
So what's next? Obviously, the SK Light modified now. I guess the next logical step is an SK modified, but then there's the Tour modifieds. There's a lot of options up here. Where do you hope to be down the road?
For now, I think we're gonna stick with this. Maybe next year, we'd like to experiment with an SK or either an MRS or tri-track car. That's a goal of mine. I would love to race one of those cars. That's another dream of mine. I like the short track type racing. I like how tri-track offers, big money races to go chase. And, last year Stafford had the 10,000 win race because Seekonk wasn't running due to COVID. So, I mean, they had a lot of cars go home for that. So that was cool to see. That's a very tough division, and I'd like to be a part of that soon.
Good deal. Well, congratulations again on the win last Friday. It was fun to watch here, and thanks for taking the time to join us. I know we're both busy. You're working on the race car. We have go-karts here at Stafford Motor Speedway, a busy night of Monday night Wild Thing Karts. But thanks for taking the time, and look forward to seeing you down the road.
All right, Kyle. Thank you.
George Bessette Jr., this week's Whelen Engineering Modified Driver Spotlight here on NASCAR Coast to Coast.
Whelen Engineering, a global leader in the emergency warning industry, designs and manufactures reliable and powerful warning lights. Whelen also produces white illumination lighting, sirens, controllers, and high-powered warning systems for automotive, aviation, and mass notification industries worldwide. Every part of every Whelen product is proudly designed and manufactured in America and is tested on-site to meet the toughest industry certifications. Whelen Engineering, a global leader in the emergency warning industry, trusted to perform since 1952.
Welcome back to NASCAR Coast to Coast here on the Motor Racing Network. Between the break, Kyle and I we were just talking about how we are blessed in this time and of age where we get to watch racing of so many different facets and so many different worlds of motorsports. And we were just talking about how you and I at one point over the weekend had about 4 different streams going on of all of the different ways to watch racing, whether that was modifieds, dirt racing. It's crazy to think that we have that access at our fingertips.
Yeah, the NBC Track Pass had the ARCA Menard Series race on from Berlin. Was able to watch Daniel Dye pick up the race win there. Was able to watch Ryan Preece win the modified race in New Hampshire. Kings Royal was all weekend, mainly all day on Saturday because they got rained out on Thursday and Friday. So there was, 10 hours of content there on Dirt Vision. Flow Racing, had the USAC midgets. You were at an event, part of Dirt Vision with the late models. So there was just, so much going on. SRX wrapped up their season in Nashville, and I didn't have enough devices at one point on Saturday night.
Yeah, you had to start doing the split screen, have your phone, your iPad, your laptop. I totally understand. We were at a racetrack still watching other races all across the country. But that being said, take a look at how some people shook out at their local racetrack this past weekend. The SRL Southwest Tour was at Irwindale, where Derek Thorne, to no one's surprise, captured yet another SRL victory over Blaine Roca and Dylan Capello. The Tundra Late Model Series was at Jefferson, where Jacob Knotstead won over Ryan Farrell and Brock Heinrich. And then, of course, joining the SRX Series at Nashville was a CRA Late Model Series for the Master of the Pros. Willie Allen captured that win over Cody Coughlin and Jake Garcia.
I feel like Willie Allen wins every time they race at Nashville and has been winning at Nashville for forever, as long as I can remember. Kingsport Speedway in Tennessee, they were in action on Friday night for a little bit. Chase Dixon won the late model race. Kevin Canton won the pro mod race, and then the power went out and the rest of the race program was suspended. They're back in action this coming Friday night. New Smyrna Speedway got their race program in. The Dave Rogers Super Late Model feature was won by Jake Finch. The E-Mods was Earl Beckner. They're back in action this week for 50 lappers for the modifieds and the sportsmen. Sunset Speedway in Canada, off and rolling now a couple of weeks into their season. Rick Spencer Walt, a very familiar name to Fendered Racing up at that racetrack, was able to claim the win. They're back in action this Saturday night. Unfortunately, there were a lot of rainouts as well, including Bowman Gray Stadium. They were washed out, as was the South Boston Speedway, as they prepare for a 100-lapper at their next event on Saturday, August 7th. And don't forget the 13th Hampton Heat coming up this weekend at the Langley Speedway in Virginia. Brendan Queen, the defending winner of that event, the hottest race in late model racing, so they say.
Yeah, and I've been watching the weather for that right now. Looks to be playing in their favor, but of course, over the past couple of years, it has been a topic of conversation, and truly how hot it does get for that racetrack. It's not even just a testament of your equipment and capabilities, but man, you got to actually be able to literally survive that race. So lots of racing action on tap over the weekend. Again, we talked about it. The ARCA Menard Series as well as the ARCA East have their combination event for the Shore Lunch 150 at Iowa Speedway this weekend. You can watch that on NBC's Track Pass, as well as a tape delay NBC as well. Off weekend for me. So that being said, I'll have all sorts of streaming devices up over the weekend watching lots of racing. Kyle, what is your plan?
I will be at the Stafford Motor Speedway on Friday night for a special modified event. So it's going to be fun.
Busy weekend. Again, if you get the opportunity with NASCAR really being off the next 2 weeks, that is a great chance for you to go out, support your local drivers, support your local short track, or maybe even take that road trip you've been wanting to check out so many great racetracks that we have to offer across the country. We'll recap all of the action next week here on NASCAR Coast to Coast. I'm Hannah Newhouse, Kyle Rickey, producers Alexa Henry and Ryan Horn. We will see you guys next week.